tonight. What up, Music NFT Radio? We are back again with another podcast. Today we have a very special guest, a legend in the music NFT community. So if you're listening on YouTube, make sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel, Music NFT Radio. Make sure you leave a comment as well, because we have a very awesome guest today. Let her know what you think. And you can also find us on all podcast sites. So if you're listening over there or on YouTube, make sure to come check out the live show on Twitter Spaces. We're live every day, 24/7, playing music NFTs, bringing in artists, building community. So let's go. I'm super excited to announce that today we have my good friend who has become quite the legend in the music NFT space. We have Violetta Zironi here today with the Moonshot NFT. Let's go. What up, V?
What's up, Dill? Thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've helped support Music NFT Radio since the beginning to help us grow this community, and you're constantly building yourself, hosting your daily spaces. You know, you inspired me to start doing my spaces every day and hold this time for the community to come together and talk. So super excited to have you here for an official interview and just get your story told. I mean, I've personally heard your story so many times, but to get it recorded on the podcast and get to ask you some questions of my own, but just really to spotlight you and everything that you've done in the music NFT space, which has been so incredible and so great for the community. So you've been putting in the long, long hours, making a change out here in Web3. And it's really important. And that's why I wanted to do this, just to spotlight you and your journey. And hopefully it will inspire other artists along the way. I already know you're inspiring so many artists in the Web3 space and beyond.
Thank you, Dill. It's funny you say that because you inspired me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. So, I always say it. You were one of the first music NFT artists I ever knew about and heard your podcast. So, yeah, doing a podcast is a great idea because I started learning about music NFTs listening to a podcast where you were being interviewed. So here we are.
Awesome. That's what's up. So I'm glad to have you here. Let's get into it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, like growing up, getting into music, because I know you've been a musician forever. So I really want to hear about like the early days, getting started, learning music. You know, when did you first pick up a guitar? When did you first start singing and starting to take it seriously, you know?
Yeah. Like you said, it's been a very long time. When I was 3 years old, I would like jam with my dad. So my dad like plays music as a hobby, on the side. And we would like sing songs and, he would play the guitar or the harmonica or whatever. And I would sing along and he noticed that I had a good voice, like my pitch was okay. So he, he made me join a children choir when I was 3. And that was kind of the first, music thing I did. And then at 5 years old, I started playing piano. I started taking piano lessons, classical piano, and I did that until the age of 16. So for 11 years, I studied classical piano and learned a bit of like, improv and yeah, just learned classical music. But I mean, I was never like I never really enjoyed uh, studying. I don't like studying. So the approach, that the classical teachers had, although I did learn how to read and write music, I forgot because I realized that my ear was good. So I ended up just like learning everything by ear and not actually reading or writing the music, the notes. And yeah, I just remember I hated taking piano lessons, and my dad would force me. He would like literally sit beside me and make sure that I would practice every day. And I'm like in tears, no, I hate it. And every time that he's like, all right, whatever, quit, then I would feel guilty and I wouldn't do it because I knew that I would let my parents down. But yeah, so I continued, and then when I was a young teenager, I picked up the guitar because I felt like that I could be myself a little bit more. I could, like, the music that I was listening to, I it was mostly on guitar, and I just wanted to accompany myself. And so I learned a few chords, and my dad taught me a few chords, and I used YouTube. And yeah, and that's when I started playing. And then around the age of 15 or 16, I started writing my first few songs because I was in a couple of bands. And I started playing in a band with my dad and a guy on the drums who was 60 years old. So we were playing like local festivals and town fairs and little bars for a couple years, like every summer. And yeah, and then when I was 18, I did X Factor in Italy, and that's it. You know, that's the
Yeah,
early.
I very much resonate with the story of being a kid. I had piano lessons as a kid. I never wanted to practice. Like, I would go to the lessons for sure, but then I would never practice. And that was a problem I had with other stuff too, like sports. Like, same kind of thing. Like, I would go to sports practice or whatever, but I wouldn't really practice on my own. And it's only like now, being more mature and grown up, that I can look back and be like, oh, I could have been good at any of those things if I really just practiced on my own beyond what was like required, right? And so,
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like I don't know about your piano teacher, but my piano teacher was very like she was not flexible. I feel like music should be fun as well. Unless you do like conservatory, where you have to like study theory, but you should change your approach based upon your student, I think. And a lot of teachers don't do that. So it just makes it really, easy to hate, I feel. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I could see that for sure. My teacher was cool. It was actually one of my best friend's mom, who's the piano teacher. She was cool, but the real problem there was me not wanting to practice. And it's funny though, because now when I make my own music and find what I actually like, what I'm actually passionate about, then the practicing feels a lot more natural, right? So I think that's it too, is you have to get the right kind of inspiration for it to feel like your purpose and feel more natural, rather than like you're always forcing yourself to just practice something pointless or monotonous or whatever the word is, right? But I mean, yeah, I feel that, just getting started. Like, I tried different things, tried a little bit of singing here and there, but it wasn't until I really found what I was passionate about. And it seems like for you, that might have been when you started picking up the guitar and getting in some of these bands and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just wanted to do my own thing. I didn't want to learn like, I wanted to interpret my own music the way I wanted, and I wanted to sing, and I guess it gave me more freedom.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us about X Factor, because I don't know if I've really heard you talk about that story.
Well, it was such a long time ago. But yeah, that kind of marked the beginning of it all because I was 18, I was still in school, and I was yeah, I was getting into music quite a lot. Like I was playing a few gigs, and then I used to watch. They have the auditions that are hilarious. When people like, there's like really crazy people, um, and so I was like, you know what, I might just apply and see what happens. My goal was just to get on TV so that I could get some visibility and then take it from there because I knew that it was, really like, poppy environment, and that's not the music that I was making. But I applied. I waited in line for like hours and hours and hours. I eventually auditioned, and they called me back like the next day. You're in. And I was a little bit different. I was playing like instruments and I was singing weird songs they never heard before, and eventually I made it to the TV audition, and everyone's like freaking out. And anyway, I passed every audition, and then I got into the show, and it was the most fun thing I've ever done. Like, it was absolutely like so fun, and just I learned so much. I had no experience in that world, and I ended up like um, being working like a professional musician and on TV. It's huge. Makeup and clothes and rehearsals. You got a vocal coach and really tight schedule and all these professionals around you, doing crazy things, dancers, whatnot. It was just insane. And it was very challenging because the judges, like, they would give me songs that I didn't know how to sing, so I had to learn how to be flexible with my voice as well, and learn like little dance moves and stuff. I had to get out of my comfort zone for sure. um and another thing that some people might not know, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in Italy it's very much like a reality TV show. So you're locked in this house with all the other contestants for as long as you are in the show. So I was in that house for 3 months. And they take your phone, they take your laptop, you have no internet, no contact with the outside world for 3 months, right? Because they don't want you to like get affected by what people say on social media and stuff. And they don't want you to leak any information. It's weird, and you've got cameras around you all day, at all times. So it's a lot, and I definitely didn't understand that it was a TV show. I thought it was a singing competition, and so I ended up being against all the producers and the writers and all that because I just wouldn't play that game, and I was 18 and arrogant. So um but in the end I kept being myself, and it was shitty of them because they would like not tell you anything that was going on outside, and then once a week they would show you 5 tweets, and they would choose the tweets they wanted to show you, to get your reaction on camera. It was really bad. But in the end I got to the final, and yeah, and then I had third place, and yeah, I mean, it opened every door. I wouldn't be here if I didn't do that, because that allowed me to know so many people in the industry, and it led to so many things. So I'm grateful I did it.
Yeah, that's a crazy experience. I don't know too much about it, but I mean, it sounds like other reality shows I've seen or heard of. So, I mean, that's awesome, though. That is a great way to kick off your career. Was it all good that came from that? Was there anything that could have gone differently, or did it just kind of set you up for everything that's happening today?
It absolutely set me up for everything that's happening today. Like, honestly, I met some incredible people from that, and it just meant like it just meant that I didn't have to explain to people who I was afterwards, because it's a very popular show in Italy, and a lot of people like in the movie industry watch it. And so at one point when I got out of there, like, I was a little celebrity, and people were stopping me in the street, and my songs were in the charts, and just a lot of people knew me, and that's how I got into the acting scene as well, and I signed a major deal with Sony. That was terrible. That I wish I had thought about it a little bit more. But what happened was that the day after the final of the show, they just invited me into their office, and I was by myself. I was 18, so I didn't have to have my parents there, but I didn't know what was going on. And they brought me into their office, and they're like, Violetta, we love you. We want to offer you a deal. This is a deal for 5 albums. We want to make you, like a star in Italy, and this and this and this manager want to manage you, and that producer wants to work with you, blah blah blah, and this is for 5 albums. And I'm like, yeah, I'll sign it. And I just signed it on the spot. I didn't call my parents, I didn't call a lawyer, I didn't call anybody. I just signed it, you know and then afterwards I went to a lawyer and I went to a manager, and they were like, what have you done? Like, I signed a 360 deal with the publishing, um, live booking, master, of course, label side, and management as well. And they were taking, 30% off of everything, and I had only 5% of the master in the end. And yeah, it was bad, but after that, they didn't actually do what they had promised to do in the contract, so I was able to leave after a couple years. So, but that too, I'm glad it happened, because it happened when I was young and I didn't have much to lose. So yeah, I learned.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that you're able to get out of that deal too, because the thing is, in deals like that, you really can't do much with NFTs and Web3, and I think that's why we yet have to see a lot of major artists enter the space. Because when you're in these types of deals, it really gives you no freedom to do stuff in Web3. And then even if you could try, it's going to be such a process, with so much red tape or whatever, and trying to get them to approve all this different stuff. It's like the labels are dinosaur organizations that move so slow. So, being out of that deal and being independent is so important if you want to be successful in the Web3 space right now. So, it's great that you were able to get out of that situation. And so, after that, were you putting out music independently? And what year did you get out of that deal?
So I signed in 2013, at the end of 2013, and I got out of there 20, I think, or maybe 2015. Yeah, a couple of years later. And yeah, when that happened, I started releasing my own music. I didn't release much, to be honest. I was still looking for the right sound for me, and but I was playing a ton of gigs. Like I was 21 or so, and I was just traveling all the time in Italy. I was still living in Italy. And I was just on the train all the time with my guitar and playing shows over and over and over and over. And I got some really great support slots, for big artists. And yeah, it was just amazing. I was having a good time, and I was making money from my music. I've always been independent, on that in that sense. Like I was lucky, because since I'm 18, I never had to get a job or anything. I was always able to make it through the music. So I had a great time. And then I met some international musicians, and went on tour with them in Europe, and ended up moving to the UK when I was 21. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's been a long journey for you, done a lot of different things. And so, does that bring us to you releasing music independently and touring and stuff for a while from there? Or is that when you moved into Web3?
Oh, no, it was a long journey before I got to Web3. Yeah, when I was 21, I moved to London, and I was there for about a year, hanging out with musicians all the time, and that's when I really started discovering, really started improving my songwriting skills, and started collaborating with incredible songwriters. London is a great place for music. It's like music capital in Europe, pretty much like New York. And yeah, but I wasn't quite ready. Like my sound was not ready, and I didn't have like clear ideas on really the kind of artist I wanted to be, music wise, genre wise. Um, but I kept performing, and then eventually I met a girl who was living in Berlin, who was a music manager, and she was my age. But she was very hungry and very driven and committed. And we were like, you know what? Why don't we just work together? And we formed this like girl power team, like teenagers pretty much doing our thing in the music industry. And I ended up moving to Berlin because I heard it was a great place for creativity and music. It was a melting pot of like musicians from all over. And started working with her. And again, just kept writing and writing and writing. And I met some of my like lifelong collaborators, including the person who wrote the whole Moonshot album with me. We've been working together for a really long time since I moved to Berlin, and and just kept playing shows. And then eventually I'd written so many songs that BMG Publishing offered me a deal, which I signed at 23. And yeah, that didn't really make a difference in my life, but, except for the money they give me in advance. But other than that, it didn't really matter because all the cuts that I got from other artists or commercials or movie syncs, I got on my own. But I did some of those, and then in the meantime, I started getting acting gigs, just auditioning for things. So I did 3 movies in total. One of them's a musical, then a couple more. One came out just last month in July. And I wrote 2 songs for it, and I'm in it as well as playing an opera singer in the movie. But yeah, it's just been a lot of fun. I did some crazy things. I toured in America, all over Europe, and yeah, I just went on tour with incredible artists and played major festivals and just had a great time overall. But then, pandemic hit, and it was just a very bad thing for me. As an independent musician, I was relying a lot on live shows and networking and traveling, and I couldn't do that anymore. And my Spotify was definitely not enough to cover my bills, and I don't do TikToks or Instagrams or anything like that. So, um, yeah, that was really hard. And I decided that I was going to try for one more year last year, exactly 1 year ago. I said, I'm going to give myself another year and see what happens. But if it doesn't work out, I'm quitting. That's it. I'm done. If it, but in the meantime, I'm going to work as hard as I can to make it work because it's been such a long time I've been making music. I would hate to give it up. And eventually, at Christmas 2021, my mom told me about NFTs, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try this and focus all my attention. And now here I am.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's a long story, There's a lot of different paths you have to take and things you have to try. I know for me, I've certainly tried so many different businesses and ideas, and along the way, different things that have gotten me by. But I think that we've finally found something that is going to change the game. I mean, it's already changing the game for us, right? But music NFTs and Web3 are really the tool that we've needed as independent artists to monetize our music even further. And you've proven what's possible with Moonshot and with everything you've done in the space. So, why don't you talk a little bit more about getting into NFTs and planning Moonshot, and then we can get into it.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I didn't have anything to lose, literally nothing. But at the same time, I had a lot to lose because if I wasn't gonna do this, I wasn't gonna do music at all. So, nothing like, you know, nothing else that was going on in my life. But at the same time, it was my only chance to keep making music. So I went all in. I was just like, all right, that's it. I'm going to do this. And one thing that really attracted me about it was that I could sell my music as art. Because one thing that I had learned in the few years prior was that my music was not pop. My music didn't work on Spotify as well on the radio. I'd just been shut down by every label because they told me I sounded too retro and too romantic and too sweet and too old fashioned. And they just kept trying to manipulate my sound. But I always had an audience. I did a sold out tour in 2020 in Europe. I played 15 venues and they were all sold out. And I noticed that my audience was a little bit older, and they would buy my CDs and they would come to my shows as a treat for themselves, and really valued my music. And so I thought maybe in this space I can find people that collect art and want to be artists patrons, if you know what I mean. And yeah, because that was always my thing. I used to play a lot of shows, like, literature festivals or whatever, like kind of classy things. And so I thought, okay, maybe that's going to be where I find those people that love music and art and they want to invest in it. So I focused on it. I was like, maybe that's it. And then I just started spending all my time on Twitter. And of course, I was inspired by you, by Sammy, who's in the audience, and I saw you guys grinding so much, and I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. And I just decided to do this all the time. And at one point, it just got out of hand, and I ended up like, staying up all night, and then I met Nifty Sax in the space, who I kind of related with because he's Italian like me, and I was inspired by him a lot, and we started working together. Did a couple of drops that were quite successful, and then planned Moonshot together, and then yeah, it was a success in the end.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little more about the planning of Moonshot and the strategy? And we know it was a success. I mean, you're absolutely crushing it. Last I checked, I think you're at like 120 ETH in volume, and that's all been in very short amount of time. But why don't you talk more about just the collection and the thought that went into it and the collaboration with your dad, etc.?
Yeah, so I have these 5 songs that I recorded last year, that I was very proud of. I spent a lot of money on them, and they were, the result of many years of writing and handpicking, cherry picking the best songs I had. And I just wanted to package them in the best way possible and give them the attention they deserved, in my opinion. And so yeah, I told Nifty, I said I have these songs and I would like to put them out as an album, as an EP, as a collection. And he's like, all right, then we can do something. We can take what I did with the Spheres, right? Nifty Sax Spheres that we all know, but scale it up. And you need an artist. We're gonna need utility. We're gonna need rarities. We're gonna need a roadmap. And you have to be on Spaces every day and talk about it until people don't want to hear about it anymore. And so he gave me the directions, and I took them and just did it like 10 times more. I just was like, that's it. I'm going to go really hard. Um, so yeah, I mean, I kind of winged it. I had no idea what we were doing. First time doing it. Nifty is an incredible strategist. He is so smart about this stuff, and so is Wazy, the dev, Robin. And I trusted them completely. I followed exactly what they told me to do. And then, yeah, when it comes to the art, they were like, you need an artist, we need something cool for this. And I thought, I don't know, like, I don't really know any artists and I don't really trust anyone yet. I haven't made like any close friends that I would trust. But hey, like, my dad's an artist and I never worked with him before on an artwork related to my music. So I called him up and I said, do you know what NFTs are? He's like, what? Do you know what crypto is? It's like, yeah. um, well, I'm doing this. Like, I need 5 artworks. I said, can you do like 5 drawings? He says, sure. Based on these songs. Yeah, okay. Then he did it, and I'm like, actually, we need uh like 2,500 of them. He's like, what? Like, yeah, so I didn't really know, and so Robin and Nifty gave me some instructions to give him, and my dad went crazy. He absolutely smashed it, but he wasn't really sure what he was doing. And then we just came up with all these frames, this structure, these traits, this utility, and I just kept adding whatever I could think of. I would just add it, you know. And in the meantime, I was really thinking hard in my head, how do I justify all this? Like, what's the point? Because when I first got in, I was only like 3 months old in this space and I didn't know much. So I did a lot of studying on my own. And yeah, in the end, I'm just super proud of the structure that we built with Moonshot. And I think that is why now we have quite a lot of volume in such a short amount of time, and we had some big sales as well for the more rare ones. It's because the collection is well structured, and the art, I love it. I decided to go with my dad because he knows me very well. He's a real contributor in my musical upbringing. He knows exactly who I am as an artist. Like, he knows me better than anyone else, musically, and he's an artist himself. And I love the kind of 60s cartoon style, and I thought it fit with the music. So, and it was a cool story too, collaboration with my dad. So yeah, we ended up doing it, and yeah, people liked it. So
Yeah, it's awesome. And honestly, he seems to have done such an incredible job taking in whatever information was given and coming up with the different traits and designs. Were you a big part of that planning and discussion, or was that really him interpreting some information that he was given?
it was mostly me and NiftyMusic. Like, we were coming up with excuse me, most traits, and um yeah, just like structuring the whole thing, and the different color variations, and my dad was just being creative about it. I would give him the information, and he would execute in ways that I couldn't vision envision before he did them. And I really like the images he came up with based upon the songs. Like, I love that, um, with Lonely, I couldn't picture the song Lonely in my head, but he just listened to it and read the lyrics and drew this like spider web with the spider and me. I'm like trapped in the spider web, but still playing my guitar. So I really love the inspiration that he got from the songs, and he was very creative about it. But yeah, I asked him if he wanted to do my next collection, and again he said no. So I think he had enough. But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you probably had to give him some ideas of how it would be designed, but that's really cool, and it's a cool collaboration. And who knows? It's really just the beginning of all of this, right? So, a couple years down the line, after it really blows up, maybe he'll be down to get involved again. But that's so cool, and you've done such a excellent job of showing everyone how to do a generative music NFT collection and do it the way you have. And I know you also have a new free drop coming up with the album. If you want to talk about what your thoughts are there.
Yeah. So we wanted to give as much as possible to our community, to our holders. And of course, we all know that music takes a long time to be developed and produced. And I realized that some things that we as musicians may find not valuable, music fans will find them valuable. For us, they're normal. For them, they may not be. So I thought, it would be cool if I had an NFT with every song attached to it. So in case you only have one, and it's maybe like a ruby or a silver, you can access all the other songs without having to buy four more. Because this is, for me, it's a piece of work. It's an album. It's not just a single or a song. I want those songs to go together. There's a storyline. So um yeah, because let's say maybe someone minted one because that was all they could afford, and turns out to be a ruby, or gold even, and those are harder to sell. The more expensive ones, they don't sell as much as the floor ones, and so maybe they don't have the liquidity to buy more. So I wanted to give them the full album. It's an 1155 token, which it's not, it's not like a like a regular, like one of the other ones in the collection. um but it gives you access to every song, and you can play it all the way through, just like if you were putting on a vinyl or a CD. And I thought it would be cool also to gift it to some people, someone who's trying to get into NFTs, music NFTs. It's easier to send them one NFT with all the songs, and they will understand it more, or they can sell it. So I wanted to give them a little extra thing to play with. And then if you have all 9 frames, on the other hand, initially we had this utility where the first 5 people to collect all 9 frames after reveal, they would get an airdrop of the diamond framed NFT. There's only 5 of those, and those people like appeared immediately within the first 5 minutes. There were already 5 people with all 9 frames, and we're like, oh, okay. And then I saw people wanting to collect all 9 frames regardless. So I thought, how do I give them something? Because it is an investment. Those goals went for like 1 ETH, a lot of money. So I decided to add the acoustic versions of each song attached to the OG sketch that my dad did at the very beginning, which I think is really valuable because my first collection, Handmade Songs, is acoustic music, one take, completely unpolished, and those are, people really value those. So yeah, we're doing that next week, which is exciting. The snapshot is next Monday, and the mint is on the 23rd, on Tuesday. Yeah, and then we're going to do another fun thing. We're going to mint 5 more of these acoustic sketch versions with a special trait to them that I haven't disclosed yet. And we're going to do auctions for those, one at a time. So, yeah.
So where does the new 1155 album token come up? Is it in a different collection, like a new collection?
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a different collection, just like exclusive holders collection for holders. Yeah.
Nice, that's interesting. Yeah, because also it would be interesting if it was in the collection and like then it would be near the floor or something like this. But I don't know. Anyway, that is really cool. I like the idea. I think it'll be cool that everyone can have the album in their wallet. So yeah, V, it's great what you've done. You've built some really incredible stuff for the community, and I think you're going to inspire a lot of other artists, especially independent artists coming in that maybe they play live shows, but they don't feel super confident in their recorded music or their Spotify. And sort of the same sentiment that you were saying. I think there's a lot of artists who play amazing live music, original songs, have been doing it for years. They're super talented, but maybe they don't have the Spotify music or the strategy or whatever it takes, right? For some reason, Web 2 hasn't served them. And I think Web 3 and music NFTs, it allows you to build that genuine community. So you are a shining star and proof of that everybody's been looking to in the community. And that's amazing. I'm super happy to see it as someone who's building this space out for years. So Violetta, it's incredible, and thanks so much for coming on the show. Is there anything else you want to get into before we finish it up?
I would just like to say that, some people might be scared of having so much freedom in the Web3 space. And if someone's listening and, and they're thinking about it, I want to tell them it's going to be a lot of work, um, but it's all in your power. Like, for once, you don't have to rely on anyone else, on an algorithm, on other people sitting in an office who don't know anything about you. You know who you are, you know what you're capable of. So just do it. Don't be scared of the power you have. Just take on the responsibility. And it's a privilege, the fact that you can have that responsibility on yourself, because you're the one who's going to be able to control it. And then if it doesn't work out, it's only on you. But that's a good thing. So don't be scared of it. Don't be intimidated by it. Embrace it and unleash your beast, because it's fun and you can get so creative every day, not just musically but just as a person every day. So yeah, don't be scared, go for it, be aware it's going to be a lot of work, you're going to lose sleep, you're going to have to be strong, but yeah, it's priceless. So yep, let's go.
Let's go. That's an amazing message to leave everyone with. And I think that's why, as an independent artist, it's easier to get into this stuff because you're used to that risk. You know, I've been an independent artist before there was music NFTs and all this stuff in Web3. And it was the same risk. It was the risk of knowing that everything is in your hands and it's up to you to make it happen. So let's go. It's to the next level now that we have Web3. Violetta, thanks for coming on. Everyone go check out the Moonshot NFT. Pull up OpenSea right now. Pick up a Moonshot NFT. I am a Moonshot whale or a mini whale, just to disclose. So pick up a Moonshot, baby.
How
Let's
many
go.
do you have, Dill? How many you got in your wallet?
I think I have 18. They're in 2 wallets, though.
It's crazy.
I minted 1 wallet, and then I got 8 more on the other. Let's go. Let's get it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. This is Music NFT Radio Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like the video, leave a comment for Violetta, tell her what you thought, and subscribe to the channel. We're also on all podcast sites. If you're listening over there, come hang out with us in the live radio here on Twitter Spaces 24/7. And come on every day at 11 a.m. Eastern, where we have special guests. We chat with the community. We hang out and talk music NFTs. Let's go. Music NFT Radio.